All right, so what's your issue with Sean Payton?
God, that trade is
I
terrible.
mean, this guy won a Super Bowl. He won almost 100, including the playoffs, 170 some odd games. Didn't lose very much.
Listen, he had maybe one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That helps out a lot, and we've seen what Russell Wilson has done this last offseason. I don't know how much that'll play into a factor for the remainder of Sean Payton's career there in Denver, but you can't give up what you gave up to go get him. That is ridiculous. It was a first rounder and a second rounder, and
to get Payton, who was under contract with New Orleans when he walked away, but that deal still kept him obligated if he wanted to come back and go somewhere else, which he's elected to do now with Denver. They have to give up, they being the Broncos, they have to give up their first-round draft pick this year, and that's a pretty decent draft pick because they had a bad year, right?
It's actually the 29th pick because it was from the 49ers.
Okay, all right. So they've got a first-round draft pick this year, and they gave up their second and third-round draft picks for next year, correct?
Correct.
All right. That's a lot.
That is a lot, and that blows me away. I mean, what are you going to build your team around? What are you going to do? I mean, I don't know why Sean Payton would even want to go to Denver unless he thought he could fix Russell Wilson, and maybe he can, but that is a tough sell for me, a very tough sell. And as much as I wanted to love Sean Payton, Reader did a little digging for me the other day, and could you imagine that he actually had a very similar career to Marvin Lewis, and now he won playoff games. I get that. And he had a lot of unfortunate circumstances in the playoff games. But he had 6 losing seasons. And I think it was like, I don't know, 11 winning seasons or something like that.
Okay, let's hold on a second now. He won 152 and he lost 89. There ain't nothing close to Marvin Lewis on that. Marvin Lewis was a 500 coach. And Marvin Lewis took over a franchise that was a disaster. So did Sean Payton. His first season as a head coach, he goes to the NFC Championship game. Okay? Now he's got Breeze there. First year Breeze, they came in together.
Yep.
Right? Okay, then they go 7-9, 8-8. Then they rip off 4 straight seasons. 13-3, Super Bowl champs. 11-5, losing a wild card round. 13-3, losing the divisional round. 11-5, losing the divisional round. Then they had 3 straight 7-9 seasons. Okay, but his last 4 years in New Orleans, 11-5, won the division, lost in the divisional. 13-3, won their division, lost in the AFC Championship game. 13-3, lost to the Vikings in the wild card. 12-4, lost to Tampa Bay and Tom Brady in the divisional round. So his last 4 years, he won his division every year. And in all but one of those seasons, won at least one playoff game. There's nothing to compare Sean Payton to Marvin Lewis. Nothing.
Except that they have very similar winning and losing seasons, which is what I was ultimately getting at is, one, can Sean Payton win the big game with Russell Wilson? Maybe, maybe not. That's not what I'm really arguing. What I'm arguing is you gave up all this stuff to go get him. What is he going to build around? What sort of financial situation are the Broncos in? Because they just gave Russell Wilson all this money for no reason because he hadn't proved anything yet. And now Sean Payton's going to have to build from nothing, pretty much. He's going to build from a second rounder this year, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what they got back there. Probably nothing because they traded everything to go get Russell Wilson. This is just the worst thing that they could have possibly done. Any little slimmer of hope that they had in the draft, I'm just going to get rid of it. Like, what are they thinking? What are they going to do to build around Russell Wilson and Sean Payton? What are they going to do? Like, there's nothing they can do. They're just going to send the same guys out there that they had last year and just hope for the best.
Did I hear you say that Russell Wilson has done nothing?
This last season.
Oh, okay.
This last season.
I get ready to say, hold the phone there, doctor.
But do you really?
I mean, you talk about a guy now when you start really getting into, and most of his career he played for a running first team. Right?
Right.
How about these seasons as a starter since he walked in the league?
Oh, no, I know. They're fantastic.
11-5, 13-3, 12-4, 10-6, 10-5, 9-7, 10-6, 11-5, 12-4. He did not have but one season where he didn't win 10 or more. His career touchdown to interception ratio is well past 3-1. And by the way, he's run for 5,000 yards in his career.
Right, but
that is getting it done, brother.
What makes you think he's going to do that next year?
I bet money he is back on his game next year.
Whoa.
Really?
I would.
That's an interesting take.
I bet money on it.
Because of Sean Payton, or just because he had a bad year?
And his understanding of offensive football, understanding what Wilson's strengths and limitations are. Nathaniel Hackett was a first-year coach. There's a lot going on. The great offensive mind, I think everybody agrees. But they didn't have it there. And I don't think that Payton is like the be-all, end-all either. I thought there were a lot of years there where they should have done better with the pieces they had in place besides winning one Super Bowl. It reminds me a lot of the whole sort of Mike McCarthy era with Aaron Rodgers. They had a lot of great teams and a lot of great players, and they won one Super Bowl. Fair?
Well, let me go back to that initial point, because Reader's throwing dots on here, and I'm all on this train now. He had the same exact winning seasons and losing seasons as Marvin Lewis with a Hall of Fame quarterback, maybe one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. What do you mean? You're wanting us to believe?
You're picking number of seasons. I'm talking about the seasons that they did go to the playoffs, okay? He was there from 2006, got suspended the 1 year after the whole Bounty Gate thing, okay? So he was there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years he was there. They finished in first or second place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those years. 10 of the years, first or second place. They won a playoff game in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those seasons. How many playoff games did Marvin Lewis win? I'm looking in here. What is that number?
That's a big fat zero.
All right.
But I'm just saying, I don't think this is great for the Broncos. I don't know what their thoughts are, and I know we don't have very many Broncos fans, if any, in this chat. But to me, this was just bad. I mean, this is just a bad move, in my opinion. And maybe it all works out, and I just look dumb in the end. But I don't think that this is like a great situation for them. Like, they could have gone out and maybe gotten a different head coach, or maybe they could have gotten Lou Anarumo or Brian Callahan. Maybe take a flyer on those guys instead of.
So you're out on Sean Payton.
It's not that I'm out on Sean Payton as a head coach altogether. I'm out on the situation because they have nothing to build on.
Okay.
You gave up your whole future now at this point to just get a quarterback and a head coach.
They did, but here's what I would ask you. Here's all I would ask you, okay? And I'm with you all the way. It is a steep price, and we said it in the monologue when we talked about him getting the head coaching job. Here's what it all comes down to. I mean, really, this is it in a nutshell, okay? Broncos' new ownership believes that Sean Payton is the best man for the job to get Russell Wilson turned around. The only hope that franchise has of playing well in the playoffs and contending for a Super Bowl is if Russell Wilson is back to being Russell Wilson. He's done it before, and he played extremely well just 2 years ago, okay, on a bad Seattle team. They still were 9-8 his last year there. Year before that, they were great. So, I mean, maybe a year or two can remove him from ever being a great player again. I don't know. But here's what I'm getting at. If you're a fan of the Denver Broncos, would you give up all those draft picks, which they did, and the possibility, because they're going to go spend money. Denver always spends money. They're a franchise, even this new ownership group, that just by hiring Payton, they prove you they're all in. And bringing Wilson in and giving him all that cash. They've proven they're all in. Would you trade, let's just say, a trip to the Super Bowl in Denver? Not necessarily win it, but would you trade a trip to the Super Bowl for those draft picks? That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it from that perspective, I think anyone would trade that amount of draft capital to win a Super Bowl at least one time. And the people that are lying and saying that they wouldn't are just fooling themselves, because this franchise we were that close to winning one, and I would give up the next 10 years just to win one.